All right, y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning. And today we've got another new shell, and it's one that might just be a little bit excessive, but I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely going to be a pretty stout load, and I'm definitely going to be feeling it after shooting it, that's for sure. But if it gives us some absolutely astonishing performance, it might be worth it for some people. So it's definitely going to be pretty interesting to see what it does. And as for the shell I'm talking about today, I picked up some of the Winchester Longbeard XR 3.5-inch shells. These are a 3.5-inch, 2 1/8 ounce payload of number 6 shot, moving about 1,050 feet per second. Now, we've tried plenty of the 3-inch number 6 Longbeard shells with some great performances, but the 3.5-inch shells we've never tried before. Now, 3.5 inches and 2 1/8 ounce worth of payload might be a little bit excessive. I just don't know if it's worth it over what we've seen from the standard 3-inch version. We're just gonna have to test it and see what it does. And as for the setup I've got out here today, I brought out the Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag here with the Indian Creek, which is a 675 constriction turkey choke, and it has done very well with longbeard shells for us in the past. And I figured with these being 6s, a little bit tighter 675 might do us a little bit better, at least to start out with, than some of my little bit more open chokes for this gun, because 2 1/8 ounce of 6s is a pretty hefty payload going through this choke, that's for sure. So hopefully it can handle it and actually give us a somewhat decent pattern. But as for the test today, everything is the same as usual. The turkey paper is going to be at 40 yards. I've got the chronograph, so we'll be able to get our velocity. So let's get you guys set up with a view of the target. We'll take the shot, look at the chrono, and then go down and check out our performance. This is going to be a very stout loading. There's no doubt about that. Question is it actually worth the higher payload and the much higher recoil? I don't know. Let's head over here and take this shot and just see what kind of results it actually does give us. Okay, so that shell gave us 1239 through our chronograph. And yeah, I will say it is very stout in the recoil department. Quite a bit more than the typical 3-inch number 6 shell, that's for sure. But the box claimed 1,050, so we are definitely above their claim, but that has not been unusual at all for these longbeard number 6 shells. They typically run between 1,200 and 1,250 or so. So I definitely don't think this is anything too unusual, and it's about what I've come to expect from them. So I don't think there's anything too weird to see up here, but how does our pattern actually look? Let's go down to 40 yards and check it out. All right, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. And it is nothing short of complete devastation. And I might even go as far as to say decapitation, even at 40 yards. Now, we were just a touch low, I'd say, but I don't think it really would have mattered in this scenario. If that was a little bit higher, he would definitely have no head left. Because, I mean, that is 90% of the shot right there in that 10-inch circle. So that is nothing short of devastating, that's for sure. Now, looking at the rest of the pattern, we do see some strings and flyers and stuff like that around the edges, which is not uncommon at all for a lead shell, and especially a lead number 6 shell. Plus, when you're pushing that much payload, that's not really surprising either. As we can see, there's plenty of pellets strung around the edges here, but I mean, for that kind of a pattern right there, you really can't complain too much. That's not bad at all. And if it looks that tight and that consistent at 40 yards, I would be scared to see what it would look like at 20 yards. You would legitimately be shooting like a baseball or maybe a softball at him. So I would say that this right here is probably a field setup for a lot of people, if you even want to endure the 3.5-inch shell amount of recoil, which was very stout. So for me, it's a fantastic pattern, don't get me wrong. Is it worth the extra recoil and a little bit of extra cost for the 3.5-inch shell? For me, I don't think it is, but for somebody who knows they're going to be hunting at 40, 45, 50 yards, that might be the little bit of extra that you may want or you may need depending on your setup. So now I definitely want to see this shell put through some different chokes and see what it looks like through some more open stuff and some tighter stuff even, because if we run it through a tighter choke, it could get a little bit more ridiculous than that even, and that's already excessive. So nothing short of very impressive here overall. I'm not totally surprised about it either. The Longbeard 6s have always done well for me in a lot of my setups, and I definitely say we saw a pretty good pattern here today as well, that's for sure. Okay, and here's the wad from that shell, and as you can see, we've got a pinkish red colored longbeard wad this time. I don't think I've ever seen one this color. They're typically that darker gray color. Either way, the actual molded plastic design of it seems exactly the same, just a little bit longer for the 3.5-inch shell, and looks very typical for a longbeard wad. It's got a little bit of the powder buffer material stuff down in there, but no pellets. We do see a little bit of pinhole stuff around the edges here, but that is very common for these going through Indian Creek chokes. The Indian Creek and the Kicks chokes are not very nice on wads, but overall here, not anything unusual, not anything I'd be concerned with. It looks very, very run-of-the-mill, and I clearly think it did pretty much exactly what it was supposed to do today. All right, you guys, what do you think about that performance there? That is absolutely ridiculous, even at 40 yards. A 2 1/8 ounce load of 6s with that many pellets on the paper, that turkey is not going to know what hit him, that's for sure. I'd hate to see what that looks like at 15, 20, 25 yards. If it didn't decapitate him here, it definitely would have at that close of a distance. So overall, I'm not totally surprised with this performance here. We know the longbeard shells are typically good performers. The longbeard 6s have done well in all of my setups for the most part. A 3.5-inch 2 1/8 ounce payload is a lot of shot, so we definitely saw a lot of pellets down here on the paper, and with that kind of shell and that kind of load, it was very stout in the recoil department. So I don't know. I don't personally think this is worth it for me anyway in my scenarios to use a big 3.5-inch shell like this, but clearly it would absolutely crush that turkey. There's no doubt about that. But let me know your thoughts about it. Is that about what you expected? Were you a little bit surprised one way or the other? Have you tested these or used these 3.5-inch longbeard shells, 4s, 5s, 6s, whatever? And what kind of performance have you seen out of them? And let me know, do you think it's worth it in general, or for you personally anyway, to use a big 3.5-inch shell like that with that much payload and that much recoil? Let me know all that down below. But either way, nothing short of a ridiculously devastating pattern, that's for sure. But with that being said, I've got plenty more stuff coming y'all's way, so stay tuned. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm gonna get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.